I don't subscribe to the ask 100 questions. I subscribe to the come with value and come with an opinion and get that validated with the client and then explore from that point on.
It seems to me that there's a really big challenge in really understanding what the customer actually wants, that they're not telling you they want. They say this thing over here is what they want, but what they actually want, they're not saying, right? How do you identify those hot buttons or the things that you need to know to sell to them, but they're not telling you?
Yeah, look, I think you have to follow the journey, follow the bouncing ball with customers. So whatever they ask you, whatever they say, hey, I've got a problem with my invoicing. I'm just picking something random, well, what's the problem with your invoicing? We're getting too many mismatches between what we've actually sold and what we invoice, which creates problems. Okay, well, why is that problem happening? Because this. And why is that happening? Because that. And who's involved in that? So you've got to kind of follow the bouncing ball and take it all the way to the process. And at each point, you've got to ask a very critical question. And what's the impact of that? And how is that important to you, right? And you kind of start to uncover, you take a problem and you spread it out into its dimensions and you start to find the things that actually are having the most impact and that the customer may themselves not even realize, right? They're just looking at it from this macro problem, mismatch of money out to money in. Well, have you really looked at where it's happening and what the real impact of that is?
So would you say that this is, because I don't want to put any words in your mouth because I probably will get them wrong. So I'm trying to ask the right questions. But you go in the beginning, like in any role, like if you're being hired for some reason or kind of have a task to sell to this specific segment, the first part is to ask tons of questions to the people that you're trying to sell to. Is that right? Like you just want to ask lots and lots of questions?
Yeah, there's yes and no, right? There's a danger in that. And I'm going to explain why. So if you pick up one of those classic sales books, they'll tell you about qualification is what you're referring to. And, and there's lots of questions and there's ways to answer questions, open questions, closed questions, suggestive questions, and so on and so forth. The problem that I find with that approach today is that it is a too much of a blanket approach, whereas you need to understand the individual customer. Think about some of the large organizations out there that have got 20 different sales reps calling them every day and saying, hey, I'd like to ask you 20 questions about your problem. They just don't have time for that. So more and more, and this comes back to the first point about research, about how you engage, more and more the customers are expecting that you know a little bit already. So you can't go in there asking 20 questions. So for example, whether it be selling a marketing solution, an invoicing solution, selling a printer, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You need to understand somewhat about the types of challenges that type of customer would face, or about the types of opportunities that type of customer is missing out on. And you need to take that opinion. You need to bring that to the party. If you don't, then you are, in the disparaging sense of the word, a salesman. You're not embedding yourself in the customer's value chain. So I don't subscribe to the ask 100 questions. I subscribe to the come with value and come with an opinion and get that validated with the client and then explore from that point on.
Got it. And so you need to do your own research and you need to come up with some assumptions on what you think is going to be the best approach, the best way in. Is that right? And then you're quickly going to know if it's right or not because of how they respond. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the salient point there is not coming with a solution in mind when you don't know the problem. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it's out there. Hey, I realize that you've had an issue with anti-money laundering and there's been significant breaches caused by X. We've been doing this for these and these and these organizations. The outcome of that was this. I'd like to come and talk to you about how that would work in your organization. Great. There's kind of already preconceiving a solution. But in other instances, it's not so black and white. And so you may need to point to sort of more generic known challenges in the industry, such as, hey, I understand that, let's talk about a printer. I understand that, paper consumption and refulfillment is becoming onerous, particularly with the issues around mobility. Is this something that is of concern to you? And would you like to talk to us about how we can help you, right? They'll tell you yes or no if you have the right level of trust, if you've created trust with the customer. And if they say no, that's fine. You move on.